Did you hear me? Did you hear what I said? Did you hear me? Did you hear what I said?
Welcome to Did You Hear Me with Polk County Sheriff Grady Judd. And now, here's your host, Eric Michaels and Mike Lee.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Did You Hear Me?
Did you hear me?
With Sheriff Grady Judd. Hello, sir. How are you? It's good to have you back.
Did you hear what I said?
There it is.
Exactly.
I am so glad to see you all today.
Well, thank you for allowing us, Eric Michaels and Mike Lee, to be here to talk to you a little bit about what's happened the last month or so with the Polk County Sheriff's Office. And you boys and girls have been busy just a little bit.
Real busy.
Let's talk. We're going to start with the case of a gentleman by the name of John Snyder, who met an untimely end there at the Harvey supermarket here in Lakeland.
Well, do you know, first we have to talk about the first time in my entire adult life. We were attacked 3 times on 3 Friday nights and had to defend ourselves and shoot someone in the line of duty. That's never happened before.
That is pretty crazy.
Wow.
And that's like in a half a century.
Oh,
That's
wow.
never happened. But it's the problem of methamphetamine and or mental illness. Now, we can argue whether the meth created the psychosis or the mental illness was being self-medicated, but all 3 of these events dealt with mental illness / methamphetamine abuse.
Oh, boy.
And this particular guy had an outstanding warrant, a grand theft warrant and a burglary warrant, felony warrants, because guess what? He would steal to support his meth habit. So he had gotten away from us on a Tuesday afternoon. On Thursday night, he saw his mother, and before he left, he gave her a hug and said, well, we won't see each other anymore.
Really?
And then on Friday night, we received a call that this felon that had run from us was sitting outside of McDonald's on Highway 92 East at Cumbie Road. So my deputies arrived, see him, attempt to take him into custody. He shoved us, fought us off, and then turned to run. Other deputies in their cars circled around, caught to cut him off. He spun back around, charged back at our deputy, and said, I've got a knife. And before he could stab our deputy, who tried also to tase him earlier in the fight, who tried to de-escalate the event, was left no choice but to shoot to defend his life against an armed assailant that was trying to stab him with a knife.
Wow.
So that was the end. We call that suicide by cop.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah. I've heard the term before.
Sure. He had told his mother on Thursday night, we won't see each other anymore.
That's an odd thing to hear. Like, it's almost kind of sad that she didn't notify somebody. I think something bad's going on. My son's on drugs. He said, we're not going to ever see each other again. You know, something. I don't know.
Well, she actually reported him missing.
Oh, she did. Okay.
She did report him missing and endangered, and we go, well, we know that he's missing because we have felony warrants. We're seeking him.
Yeah.
But she didn't tell us that she thought that he was going to commit suicide by cop.
Oh, wow.
She was concerned when he said, well, we won't see each other. So I think she thought maybe he was going to commit suicide. Well, in fact, he did. But his vehicle to commit suicide was us.
That's very unfortunate.
And very sad for Mom. It breaks your heart.
It does.
Now, you mentioned that that your deputies approached and then he turned to leave. Was he on foot or was he in a vehicle?
He was on foot.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And the backup deputies saw him running away from the deputies, so they circled around in their cars and jumped out and had him blocked. And that's when he turned around and ran back toward us. But he told us, I've got a knife.
Yeah.
You see, he could have just jumped up and stabbed the deputy the first time, but he didn't. He fought with the deputy. The deputy tried to tase him. He pulled the tasers out and continued to run. We tried to de-escalate. Then he turned around and charged at the deputy with a knife.
Wow.
I have seen firsthand people get tased, and for somebody to be able to pull out the prongs you got to figure the man's on something at that point.
That we won't know until the medical examiner's report is back what he was on or how much he may have been on. But you're exactly right. You just don't take that taser and pull the prongs out unless you're jacked up on some kind of drugs.
I think that we just kind of accidentally stumbled on a great stunt for the podcast. We should have you tased live on camera, Eric.
No.
Do you think can we do that as a training exercise, Sheriff?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Watch him flop around like a whale, and
Like a fish, and urinate on myself and all that.
Oh yes.
That sounds like a party to me. I mean,
Sure.
We could sell tickets.
yes, we could.
Come watch Eric ride the lightning.
Now,
Fantastic.
I could be wrong, and please correct me. Don't deputies go through and experience that?
They are offered the option of being tased. Now, what they do, they don't shoot them with the probes. They hold on to the device while they shoot the electricity to them.
Yeah.
Right.
They're given that option. Now, quite frankly, I never took that option myself.
Yeah, I don't think I would either.
In fact, I was the boss over training whenever we first started using the taser. And they said, well, what we're going to do is we're going to tase everybody. And I thought back in the day when I, as a child, would stick my finger in an electric socket once, how bad that felt.
Yeah.
And then occasionally when you'd get shocked, how bad that felt. And I said, no, we're not going to make anybody get tased.
Right.
And they go, well, we spray them with chemical agent. I said, well, we spray them with chemical agent because we want to know if they're going to have an adverse reaction to the chemical.
Everybody's going to have an adverse reaction to electricity.
That's right. But I went on to explain, I said, we give them a gun, but we don't shoot them with it.
That's a good point.
And we're certainly not going to tase them.
Yeah, that is a good point. Holy moly.
You mentioned that your deputies were attacked. Let's go on to the case of Wayne Volz that happened. I believe that was in Bartow. He was from Fort Meade, and it happened in Bartow.
All of these things are really, really bizarre.
Yeah.
So Wayne Volz lived with his parents. He had mental health issues. He was a drug abuser. And he and his mother and father got into some kind of a disagreement on Friday morning.
Okay.
He took them hostage
Oh, boy.
and held them at gunpoint with their gun and took their cell phones away from them
Oh.
and held them there at the house all day long.
That's a crime in and of itself, isn't it?
That is a lot of crimes in and of themselves.
No. I just mean the cell phone itself, like taking somebody's cell phone away.
Oh, yeah. With force, I mean, you got robbery.
Yeah.
You've got kidnapping. I mean, where do you want me to go from there? So,
Right.
So anyway, as the day goes on, his dad, they're talking, and his dad tries to talk him down and said, hey, I really need to go to work. He worked at Lowe's in Bartow. To which Volz responded, well, I need to go up there and shoot a lot of people and burn down Bartow anyway.
Oh, my.
So Dad gets in the car with his son, and his son directs him, because he's got a gun, to stop here, and he stops and buys some drugs at a undisclosed location in Fort Meade. And then they come to Bartow. Dad arrives, he parks his vehicle in the Lowe's parking lot, and he goes inside and he tells his boss what's going on. The boss hides Dad in the bathroom.
Oh, wow.
And they're dialing 911. So Bartow gets an emergency call that there's a guy that's out of his mind and got a firearm and threatened to shoot people at Lowe's. Bartow doesn't know anything, but they get this cold call. As the phone call goes on, he talks about how the son has held him hostage in Fort Meade, so Bartow calls us. We don't know anything about it. We never got any calls from anyone. That 911 call to Bartow from inside the city limits of Bartow is the first any of us knew about this.
Oh, wow.
So Bartow police calls for a drone because the guy has come into the Lowe's store. It's the grace of God he didn't shoot up the Lowe's store because
Yeah.
he said he was going to shoot things up, and he left. So Bartow Police calls for our drone. We send some deputies there to assist because we've got a interest in the case because it started in Fort Meade and now it's in Bartow. As our first deputy is pulling up, he spots the suspect, and it's the old Citrus and Chemical Bank.
Okay.
And it's behind the Publix. So you can see, it's Friday afternoon. You can see where all this is going with a lot of population. So our deputy is pulling up to talk to him. Now, he doesn't see a gun. The guy all of a sudden produces a gun and shoots 8 times
Oh, my.
into the deputy's vehicle. The deputy is ducking down and gets shot in the arm,
Oh.
in the gun arm. Now, what we know after the fact, the blessing is it didn't hit any bones or arteries. It was just kind of an in
Like
and
a
out
flesh
wound.
wound. Yeah.
It was as good a wound as you can get it being shot.
Yeah.
So other deputies and police officers are now chasing him on foot. And he turns and shoots a Bartow police officer dead in the chest.
Oh, my.
And it would have been the end of that Bartow police officer's life, except for he was wearing a very good bulletproof vest.
Nice.
That officer is knocked down.
Yeah,
And
from what I understand, even with that on, it'll still knock you off your feet, right?
It's like getting hit with a sledgehammer.
Right, yeah.
And so now the bad guy's standing over him. This has all happened in a blink of the eye. My deputy shoots Volts, the bad guy, down off of the top of the Bartow police officer.
Same person that had gotten wounded, or
No,
another
different
deputy?
one, different
Another
one.
deputy. Okay.
Before he can shoot again and
Thank
kill
God.
the Bartow
Yeah.
police officer. So now he's down and he's out. So we have 2 Bartow police officer and our deputy that has to be rushed to Lakeland Regional. Well, even with the bulletproof vest, you can still have internal injuries because of the concussion, but everything worked out the way it was supposed to, and he had no internal injuries, and he was treated and released, as was my deputy.
Oh, thank goodness.
The Volts was taken to the Bartow Hospital, where he succumbed as a result of his multiple gunshot wounds.
Right.
But once again, what's the common denominator here?
Drugs?
Drugs, mental health issues.
Mm-hmm.
Mom and Dad are trying their best to help, and my heart breaks for them. But he was a real danger to everyone, to include his parents.
Wow. That is... That's an unreal story. That sounds like something you would see in a movie, a shootout you would see in a movie.
It was a running gun battle through the city of Bartow.
Wow.
I will say that I do not volunteer to get shot in the chest with a bulletproof
Yeah,
vest or get hit with a sledgehammer. So I'm just going to get that out of the way right now.
Yeah, just get that out of the way. The tasing, though, we can still do the tasing, right? Yeah.
We'll get back to you on that.
Sell tickets.
But with this story, there's a lot of things, a lot of details that we need to congratulate, first of all, Lowe's for being so proactive to take Dad, secure him away, and make sure that he was safe.
Absolutely.
And then there were people at the banker's coffee shop that did the same thing. They heard the commotion, and they went and secured themselves.
They locked the door and got down out of the way of the fire.
Nice.
So it's great that the public is proactive with
Right.
this stuff and, lets the professionals take care of it.
It's almost sad, though, to know. I mean, it is good that they did that, 100%. But, now there's this protocol that this has happened enough times, not in our community, but just, nationwide.
Globally,
Yeah, that these gunfights, these shootouts, these mass shootings, whatever, have happened enough that it's like, okay, as a store owner, I have to have a policy or a protocol if a gunfight breaks out in the middle of the street. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's almost sad.
Well, do you know what the common denominator is in my estimation?
What's that?
The increase in the abuse of drugs.
Yeah.
You think about the ramp up of the violence and the ramp up of the abuse of drugs, and I still have people say, "Oh, y'all are too hard on these drug sellers because it's just low level and non-violent." No, it's not.
Yeah.
Ask anyone that's been at the hands of someone who is out of their mind on drugs and will do anything.
Yeah.
To include, I can think of a murder not long ago where they not only murdered the person, but chopped them up and burned them in the backyard in the fire pit.
Yeah.
Now, what's not violent about this?
Yeah.
I can tell stories for
I bet you.
I know.
ages.
I'm sure you could.
I bet you could.
But think about it. When I was a child,
Yeah.
a teenager at high school, I can remember the guys driving their pickup trucks with their guns in the rack in the back window.
I remember that when I was growing up.
Right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
To school.
Yeah.
Now think about it. When's the last time you even saw a gun rack with a gun in it because somebody would steal it, right?
Yeah.
But that was a different era, and you've got to say, well, what changed? The only demonstrable change to any significant amount is the amount of drugs in society.
Yeah. Maybe so. I'm sure that's a debate that could definitely take place as to what it is exactly that's made this huge change. But that definitely has something to do with it. If it's not the thing, it is definitely something to do with it.
Let's lighten the mood just a little bit, and I say that because everybody is okay from these stories.
Thank God.
Let's start that way. But since when did the Polk County Sheriff's Office start wrangling cows?
Do you know?
We'll call this the livestock report. Load them up.
We do wrangle cows on a normal basis. We have an agriculture unit because there's a lot of cows in this county, and occasionally the cows just don't want to stay in the fence.
Right.
And quite frankly, the drier the conditions, the more cattle escape.
Probably mostly looking for food or water or someplace to graze, right?
That's correct.
Yeah.
So this particular cow, as it's explained to me, it has bull. Actually, it's a bunch of bull is so prolific that he can hop over the fence.
Really?
He doesn't even bother running through it. He hops over the fence.
Wow.
Now, I've got some cows, and I've got this huge Brahma bull. And do you know why he stays in the fence?
Why is that?
Because he wants to. He doesn't have to stay any place he don't want to stay.
I know
Sure.
Brahma bulls.
Yeah.
They're big. It's going to be hard to keep him where you want him to be.
This particular bull jumped over the fence,
Oh, my.
and he was in danger of getting in traffic. And our deputies were trying to keep him out of traffic and move him back toward the pasture. And we'd obviously call for our ag deputies.
Yeah.
In the meantime, he starts charging another man.
Oh, no.
Our deputy gets between the bull and the other man. Well, guess what? The bull runs slap over, as we would say in Polk County, our deputy.
Oh, no.
Knocked our deputy out cold.
Oh, wow.
Ice cold. He has a concussion. The community ran to the deputy's aid now because he's out cold and helped protect him from the bull. And finally we got the bull wrangled up and put back, and we got the deputy taken to the hospital. And the good news is the deputy had to stay over a night or two in the hospital. He's home recovering. He'll be back to full duty soon.
Good. Good for him. That's good.
Can you imagine him coming back to work, though? And, hey, Joe, where you been? Injured on the job? How'd that happen?
There's a whole scene in Everybody Loves Raymond where the brother, that happens to him, he gets what do they call it?
Gored.
Gored, thank you, by a bull, and everybody's giving him a hard time. So I'm sure he's going to hear it from someone. Yeah.
Well, you know, when you've been with the sheriff's office as long as I have, he's not the first one to be run over by a bull.
Run over by a bull, yeah.
And I promise you won't be a last one.
Holy moly.
Well, what about the other deputy that was called to a livestock call but then got involved with a dog and things just kind of went downhill?
So there's more livestock that's gotten out. Why?
Yeah.
Because it's dry, right?
Yeah.
And the cows are in search of food and water, and they're trying to wrangle up the cows when this dog, who is violent, starts charging the deputy. And so the deputy doesn't want to be bitten.
Of course.
She's trying to back up. She's trying to kick the deputy off of her. And she shoots to shoot the deputy.
Dog.
I mean, the dog.
Right.
Right.
No, she shot the deputy.
Yeah, she did.
She shot herself in the leg,
Yes, she did.
trying to shoot the dog who was trying to bite her.
Right.
Now, she is having to put up with some heckling from her counterparts at the office over that, I'm certain.
Yes.
But the reality is good news. It didn't hit any bones. It didn't hit any vessels or arteries. So that was an in and out wound.
That's good.
So the good news is she may be back to work by now, because that happened a couple of weeks ago. She did a really, really good job, but it's frightening. Now, you might want to ask me, well, Grady, is that the first deputy that's ever shot themselves in the line of duty?
Is it?
And it absolutely is not.
Oh, no.
Yes. I was sitting in my office when I was a narcotics supervisor.
Yeah.
That was just after the dinosaurs disappeared from the face of the earth. And I got a call that one of my deputies had shot herself.
Oh, no.
So I went up there, and she had shot herself in the leg. And I asked her, I said, why did you do that? She said, because you put me on this stupid stakeout for these dopers. And I got bored and started playing with my gun.
Oh,
and she
no.
shot herself through the leg.
Oh,
You know,
I promised I wouldn't give her name.
You know, I did a Wild West comedy show for 15 years almost,
Right.
And we had a group that was called the Flaming Legs Club. Now, we were shooting blanks, but you know that the force of that blank going out is still a nice big blast. So there was a group of people, there was, a large community of Wild West gunfight show performers who would get a little excited when they were supposed to draw their gun out and accidentally cock the hammer back while it was still in the holster. Ooh. And then whenever that goes off, it would shoot right down the side of their leg. And burn up their whole pant leg. So we had a group. So those are members of the Flaming Legs Club is what we always called them. Yeah.
wow.
Well, I have another deputy that's a member of that club.
Oh, yeah.
We were stopping a guy that was trafficking in drugs one day. He was a passenger.
Yeah.
So our car comes to a screeching halt when we're stopping this other vehicle, which stops. The guy jumps out, grabs his gun, because we're talking trafficking amounts of drugs and they've got guns. Yeah. As he's jumping out of the car, he grabs his gun and promptly shoots himself right in the leg.
Oh, man.
He runs up to the passenger side. The driver deputy runs up to the driver's side and screams, "Stop! He's so bad he shot himself. Imagine what he'll do to you."
Man.
Oh, wow. That's great.
So we
That
had to
is
take
too
him to
funny.
the hospital and get him.
Too funny.
Yeah. So this deputy who shot herself while doing her job is not the first.
Right. Well, we can laugh about it now because we know that these people are okay, but it is, I'm sure it's scary when it first happened.
It is very scary because you don't know how bad the injury is in the beginning. But she won't be the last.
Right.
I know you well enough to know that you're going to give me a kind of a joke answer, but I'd like a serious one.
Okay.
You have
Serious joke answer?
a serious joke answer.
I'm trying.
You have a ton of experience. You're very well known, not only here in Polk County, but the state of Florida, and I'd even go as far as to say nationally. Have you ever been approached about doing one of these police reality shows? And if you have, why have you turned it down?
Well, you see, you said, have I ever been approached about doing a police reality show? I've been approached about doing a whole lot of different police reality shows.
Really?
And I turned them down because look at how that all ends.
Yeah.
It's good for the people of the network. They make money. It's good for the company that sells it. They make money, but you end up with a lot of baggage and a lot of, them following you around. And I've got a job to do. So, I don't have time for them to hang all over me, 3 or 4 days a week and that nonsense. So that's why I've turned it down.
I will say, Eric is onto something. Just based on the stories that we always get from you and that we see in the news, it would be interesting to be a fly on the wall for the day.
Well, do you know, it would. But the things that you see that I say publicly, I've calmed down.
Right.
sometimes I have some colorful thoughts about things that aren't working the way that I think that they should.
No.
Sure, yeah.
And I don't want to share those with the world.
I understand.
And then after, my mother used to say, count to 10. And then she used to tell me, count to 25. And by the time I was a teenager, she said, count to 1,500.
Just keep counting until you calm down.
Until you calm down.
That's great.
Well, I'm very proud of the men and women of your department that were able to handle these situations. And like Mike and I said, we're only making light of the cows because it's just an example of some of the things that you folks have to do. And I thought the story, real quickly, the story about the fact that you have a drone to help out shows how diverse this whole operation is.
Technology is where it's at now.
Yeah.
If you don't have technology, you can't police in the year 2025. So at the end of the day, you look at law enforcement officers, you look at technology, you look at all the good things that we do, and it's all evidence-based. In fact, we created a cell unit. We need to talk about that another day when we have time. It's Sheriff's Artificial Intelligence Laboratory,
Okay.
where we partnered with a Polytechnic.
Oh, okay.
In fact, they give out 3 awards to students every year. That students assigned to the sheriff's office because they did their capstone class won 2 of the 3 awards.
Oh, nice.
Guess who won the 3rd one?
Who?
NASA. So
Wow.
I'd say we're in pretty good company.
Not
wouldn't you?
bad.
Great
yeah.
company.
Not bad at all.
That is damn cool.
Oh. And then here you are doing a podcast with Mike.
Shazam.
Sheriff Grady Judd, thank you so very much for your time. We appreciate it as always.
I enjoy being with y'all. Talk to you soon.
Thanks, Sheriff.